Have you ever wondered how your daily routine compares to someone from 100, 1,000, or even 100,000 years ago? Our lives today, filled with schedules, screens, and supermarkets, are just the latest chapter in an epic story of human adaptation. Let's rewind the clock and explore how our lifestyles have evolved. In the very beginning, life was a raw, unfiltered response to nature. For early humans, every single day was a battle for survival. The to-do list was simple yet brutal. Find food, find water, and find a safe place to rest before something else found you. There were no long-term plans or career goals. Your only job was to make it to the next sunrise. These primal instincts, this constant state of high alert, shaped our brains and behaviors in ways we still feel today. This led to the hunter-gatherer lifestyle, a nomadic existence that lasted for the vast majority of human history. People moved with the seasons, following herds of animals and tracking the growth of edible plants. Life was a constant journey. But it wasn't a lonely one. To survive, you had to cooperate. Hunting a mammoth or gathering enough berries for everyone required teamwork. In these small, mobile groups, strong social bonds were forged. Sharing wasn't just a nice idea. It was a fundamental survival strategy. It was here, around the shared tasks of daily life, that language and complex communication began to flourish. Then came a discovery that would forever change the human story: fire. Imagine the first time a human controlled fire. It wasn't just a source of light. It was a revolution. Suddenly, food could be cooked, making it safer, more nutritious, and easier to digest. The cold nights became bearable with a source of warmth. Dangerous predators that lurked in the darkness were kept at bay. But perhaps most importantly, fire extended our day. The hours after sunset were no longer just for sleeping. They became a time for community, for sharing stories, for strengthening bonds. The campfire became the first living room, a center for social life and culture. For hundreds of thousands of years, this was the rhythm of human life. But about 10,000 years ago, another massive shift occurred: the agricultural revolution. Humans learned to cultivate plants and domesticate animals. For the first time, we didn't have to chase our food. We could grow it. This was a game changer. Why roam when you could have a stable food source right outside your door? People began to settle down, building permanent homes and forming the first villages. This transition from a nomadic to a sedentary lifestyle was one of the most significant pivots in our history. With agriculture came something new: a food surplus. Not everyone had to be a farmer or a hunter anymore. This surplus allowed for the specialization of labor. Some people could focus on building better houses, others on making tools, crafting pottery, or becoming leaders and spiritual guides. As villages grew into towns and eventually into cities, complex societies emerged. Social hierarchies formed, with different roles and statuses. Our lives were no longer shaped solely by the whims of nature but by social rules, traditions, and the structure of our new communities. As societies grew, so did our ingenuity. The invention of writing was a monumental leap. For the first time, knowledge wasn't just passed down orally, at risk of being forgotten or changed. It could be recorded, preserved, and shared across vast distances and generations. New tools and technologies, from the wheel to the aqueduct, transformed how people lived, worked, and traveled. The world became more organized, more interconnected. Life became a complex tapestry woven from culture, technology, and social order. Fast forward a few thousand years, and we arrive at the Industrial Revolution. Suddenly, the roar of machines began to replace the sounds of nature and manual labor. Factories sprung up, drawing millions of people from the countryside into rapidly growing cities. The rhythm of life changed again. It was no longer dictated by the sun and the seasons, but by the factory whistle and the clock. Time became money. Productivity and efficiency became the new gods. The urban lifestyle, with its fast pace and crowded spaces, became the new normal for a huge portion of humanity. And that brings us to today, the digital age. Technology has woven itself into the very fabric of our existence. We communicate instantly with people across the globe. We work from home, learn online, and socialize through screens. In many parts of the world, the daily struggle for physical survival, finding food and shelter, has been replaced by a different kind of struggle. It's a psychological one. We face new challenges like chronic stress, social isolation despite being constantly connected, and the overwhelming flood of information that bombards us every second. It's fascinating to think about how our psychology has evolved, hasn't? those ancient survival instincts that kept our ancestors alive are still wired into our brains. When you feel a surge of anxiety before a presentation, that's your ancient fight-or-flight response kicking in. The deep human need for belonging, safety, and a sense of purpose hasn't changed one bit since the days of the hunter-gatherers. The problem is, our modern lifestyles often clash with this prehistoric programming. Our brains weren't designed for sitting in traffic or scrolling through social media feeds. This mismatch is at the root of many modern anxieties. So, when we look back at this incredible journey, what's the takeaway? The tools we use, the homes we live in, and the jobs we do have transformed beyond recognition. An early human wouldn't understand a single thing about our world. And yet, the core of what it means to be human remains remarkably constant. We still gather with our tribe, our friends and family to share food and stories. We still seek security, a sense of purpose, and connection with others. Our modern lives are just the latest, most complex chapter in a long and ongoing story of adaptation. We've changed our environment, but our fundamental human needs are timeless. If you found this journey through time as fascinating as I did, and you want to explore more big ideas about who we are and how we got here, then you know what to do. Help our community grow by hitting that like button. It really helps the channel reach more curious minds. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next adventure. Your support makes all of this possible. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.